So the journey begins. Here at Cabo de Rocco, the most western point of Europe, and headed out. Everything from here will be east. And the plans are a little bit different. Originally, my plan was to start in Senegal, most western part of Africa. But then there were some issues with the border between Mauritania and West Sahara. Especially with COVID, it was very hard to get information. So we made the decision to change our flight to Morocco. 2 days before my flight to Morocco, I am informed that all airports in Morocco are shut down for 14 days. So not knowing what to do, I called the airport, and my flight was from Berlin to Lisbon, Lisbon to Agadir, Morocco, where I was going to go through the Sahara. And so I said, well, what if I just went to Lisbon instead? Is that allowed? And they said, sure. So I hopped on the same flight, went to Lisbon, and started from the most western part of Europe, mainland, instead, Cabo de Rocco. And now going through Portugal. So a little bummed not to be in Africa. Well, really bummed not to be in Africa. But now I have one of the most beautiful, easy countries I could ever dream of starting with. And super blessed to finally be on the road. And who knows, maybe Africa will be the finish line instead of the starting line. We will see.
First stop was only 40 kilometers away at the beautiful city of Lisbon. Met with rain, I threw on a jacket and went downtown, where Christmas was in full swing. A good friend from the area recommended I try pastel de bacalhau, from the famous Casa Portuguesa do Pastel de Bacalhau, or how it's supposed to be said,
Casa Portuguesa do Pastel de Bacalhau.
The best way I can describe them is a fish croquette with a warm melted cheese core. Then of course I had to go and grab my favorite Portuguese delicacy from across town, a discovery I made a few years back while visiting and have craved ever since. Pastéis de nata. The ones from Montegaria were recommended and did not disappoint. After a day in Lisbon though, it was time to head east. I left the city knowing it will be the last one until Valencia, Spain, some 1,000 kilometers away. It was all small towns and farmland from this point on. Nothing but cork trees and olive branches in sight. I found shelter in the shrubs and continued on.
Portuguese whitewater.
It was roughly 3 days of grinding and one amazing warm showers host in Estremoz before finally seeing the Spanish border.
So looking at my time in Portugal, it reminds me a lot about this model we learned about in my master's, dealing with culture shock. And really, to me, it doesn't deal with just culture shock. Any big change in my life, and a lot of the even smaller changes, I will kind of see myself go through the stages that this model shows. Whether it be moving to a new place, getting a new job, changing different diets even, and exercise, things of this sort, I can see myself going through this model. And the model consists of 4 stages.
So the first stage of this model is obviously the honeymoon phase. And this is when everything is new and exciting. Things that normally would irritate you are amusing. Everybody is friendly, the food is delicious, and you're just wearing these lenses that just see perfection, that are just viewing a euphoric experience. And this is just classic for the honeymoon phase.
The negotiation stage is the second stage, and it generally is summed up by just frustration and stress. No longer are things easy. No longer are things seeming perfect. You miss your family. Even sometimes your health begins to decrease because of all of this stress and anxiety. You are no longer in the honeymoon phase. You are in that frustration and grind phase. The third stage is the adjustment stage, and luckily this is when things start getting a little bit easier. You're starting to figure out a little bit of your routine. You're starting to get a little bit more familiar with the local way of life. All of the new changes are less stressful. And although it's still difficult and it's still not set or super familiar, you're past that frustration and a little bit less stressful cycle that you were in the previous stage.
The final stage is the adaptation stage. And this is finally when you feel comfortable with your new routine, your new environment. You don't have as much stress and anxiety. And although it might not be as euphoric as the honeymoon phase, it still finally feels at home.
So Portugal was definitely that honeymoon phase. Portugal could do no wrong. It was a country I didn't want to be in, yet I was excited the entire time I was there. Parts of my bike got broken on the plane ride, yet instead of being bummed, I was excited to practice fixing things on the go. It rained every day that I was there, but I was okay with it. I got to try my new jacket. I got to learn ways of drying gear while still trekking. And so this is how I will remember Portugal. this wonderful, idyllic honeymoon country to tour with. And honestly, there's no better way to start my tour.